Okay, good morning, you beautiful New Zealanders. Well, today we're going to continue our series looking at how New Zealand has become a two-tiered society, and we're in our series called How New Zealand is Inching Towards Tribal Rule. Whether we realise it or not, New Zealand is slowly creeping towards Maori being in total control of this country. Every area of our society has been affected. Just watch this. In the last video, our goal was to make the New Zealand public aware of the shocking extent of Maori privilege, which was already operating in New Zealand society, and how this means we are already a two-tier nation and much further along the road towards actual tribal rule than many citizens actually realise. You know what? Most of the population of New Zealand is asleep at the wheel. They do not realise what is going on right under their noses. We detailed in the last video many of the privileges Maori are currently receiving. In today's video, we answer the question, you know what, how on earth has this happened? How did this get like this? So let's look at that. So how New Zealand has become a two-tier nation. There are 5 sources that we're going to refer to, and the first source is New Zealand legislation that is important laws and court cases that have passed in the last 50 years. So the first one we're going to look at today is the 1974 Maori Affairs Amendment Act, defined Maori identity or ancestry in broad terms and addressed land ownership. Now the guy behind this bill was called Matthew Rata, and there's a picture of him there. Mr. Rata, the Minister of Maori Affairs at the time, this is 1974, New Zealand parliamentary debates on the second reading of the Maori Affairs Amendment Bill, he said the following: what does the bill do? It essentially and painstakingly repairs the invasion of the rights of the Maori people. It goes beyond that and introduces new principles and procedures designed for the social, economic and cultural benefit of the people it deals with, unquote. So they wanted to go way beyond just what he called repairing the rights of Maori people, to going beyond that to introducing new principles and new benefits for the people it deals with for Maori. So watch how this rolls. When he talks about new principles and benefits, what is Rata talking about? You know what, this was a very, very cunning invention, this bill. The main, quote, new principle and, quote, benefit focused on was inventing a new definition of the word Maori. This is clever. It's hard to believe that politicians at the time allowed this, but you know what they did? They allowed this to happen. They were like the person walking along, focused on a fly on their nose, oblivious of where they were walking. That is, where this, quote, change would take New Zealand, and the real reason Rata was pushing for it. See, this was sowing the seeds of a coup, and they were planning it. There you go. These politicians in 1974 who passed this bill just were so lacking insight and wisdom that they would not see where this bill was going to go and what Rata was really pushing it for. What is a Maori? Up until 1974, a Maori was defined as someone with 50% or more Maori blood. Through the 1974 Maori Affairs Amendment Act, this was changed to, quote, a Maori means a person of the Maori race of New Zealand and includes any descendant of such a person, unquote. This meant that anyone, even somebody with no Maori blood, could call themselves a Maori. No proof of any Maori ancestry was needed. You could just walk in, say, I'm a Maori, and that was enough. Unbelievable, but this actually happened. The 1974 Maori Affairs Amendment Act was equivalent to cooking the books. Well, why? Well, the number of Maori in the country rose sharply. What's significant about that? Well, watch this. First, the number of people who identify as Maori determines the number of Maori seats in Parliament. Do you get that? Now, if you ended up with 20 Maori MPs like Waititi and Debbie Ngarewa-Packer, imagine Parliament. Well, that's what they were gunning for, and they started the idea in 1974. Second, the number of Maori in New Zealand is used to justify increasing influence for Maori and more government funding for Maori. Get it? So if they could redefine Maori, they could go, we could get our hands on more funding, we could get more seats in Parliament, and we could have more influence in New Zealand. You get what was going on? Third, once this act was in place, Maori activists targeted the education system from kindergarten to the end of university with treaty and history propaganda or misinformation to actively recruit non-Maori people for the Maori cause. Do you get that? So what they did is they went, you know what, if we can get more people identifying as Maori and saying they're Maori, then we get more funding, we get more seats in Parliament, so let's go for it. First thing we'll do is we'll get into the education system and start brainwashing all the children so that they switch from being Europeans or some other non-Maori nationality to being a Maori. Man, I tell you what, this is the ultimate cunning, isn't it? Many have joined this cause, that is, they've become what we now call white woke liberals, and now call themselves Maori, all because they were allowed to through this 1974 Maori Affairs Amendment Act. You get it? See how it works? This recruitment has been going on for 50 years, and do you know what? It's been enormously successful. Really, it would be accurate to say that the 1974 Maori Affairs Amendment Act was the beginning of a coup. The coup that we are seeing unfolding right now in New Zealand and the development of a two-tier society. Okay, that's all we're going to do today because I'm trying to keep these videos down to around 5 minutes. This is now going to be more like 8 minutes. But we're going to go through each piece of legislation that's gone on, that's happened between 1974 and 2024, and we're just going to unpick them, join the dots, and we're going to see how this has happened, how we've become an apartheid ethno-state, how we've become a racist two-tiered nation, and how it's going to get worse. Alright, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and pass these videos on to other people. It really helps us. Especially subscribe to our channel because, you know, people who watch this video, these videos, don't often subscribe. They watch it, they get shocked, but they forget to subscribe. So please subscribe. That really helps us. Alright, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.